Welcome back to the Lessons for Tomorrow podcast, the motivational poster in your ear. I'm your guest host, Wayne Stratbucker, BigCommerce practice lead at americaneagle.com. In this episode, we're going to be diving into B2B Edition. To discuss this, I am joined by special guest speaker from BigCommerce, Patrick Williams. Patrick, welcome. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Wayne. Happy to be here. My name's Patrick Williams. I look after BigCommerce's partner solutions engineering team. So we keep a whole separate group of sales engineers that works directly with our agency and SI partners here like American Eagle.
Yeah, absolutely. I've now worked with Patrick for a couple of years, and he's an indispensable resource to the team. So diving kind of right into it, can you just, for those that are listening, can you just walk us through the key features and benefits of B2B Edition on BigCommerce?
Sure. Yeah. So before I get into B2B Edition specifically, it's important to know there's a couple flavors, if you will, of B2B on BigCommerce. B2B Edition is really meant for kind of an enterprise set of features for manufacturers, for industrial, brands, kind of true pure play B2B. We also have a lot of features just on our enterprise licenses. We see a lot of brands take advantage of to do hybrid B2B. So they're probably directly selling to consumers primarily, but maybe they want to support dealers or something like that in their business. So, keep in mind that feature set, exists in our enterprise license, some even in our pro license. B2B Edition is basically this suite of, enterprise B2B features. It's its own license type above enterprise. And it helps you do things like, advanced sales rep masquerading. So giving, your 100-person sales team access to log in as their customers, as they're calling them and wanting to place orders without giving them access to your entire e-commerce backend and things like that. It comes with an advanced quoting system. It has the concept of companies, so I can actually model users, as an admin or a senior buyer and a junior buyer. I can have different, credit limits set against companies. So like I said, it's, 10 to 15 different kind of enterprise B2B features for manufacturers like that.
Yeah, awesome. And I think one of the things that we find as an agency, why we love working with B2B Edition, is because it is kind of that scalable solution. So there's those features can be kind of leveraged by businesses of all sizes. So from anywhere from kind of your mom and pop shop, like you said, maybe someone that wants to expand to the B2B space, like wholesale stuff like that. There's already some baked in features in different plans with BigCommerce. But then it also is scalable to kind of those enterprise level customers that are kind of OG B2B. They're doing B2B as their core business. So
Yeah, exactly. I'd say if you need, if you just need simple features like I have a different pricing model for the dealers or for my B2B cohort, that alone doesn't really drive the need for B2B Edition. Again, when we start talking about sales reps, when we talk about invoicing, when we talk about terms and user management and all that kind of stuff, that's where we start thinking more B2B Edition.
no, absolutely. For those that are listening, there's constant upgrades and improvements that are being made to B2B Edition. Sometimes it's your team is producing so many. Sometimes it's hard to keep up with the improvements that are kind of coming on, or new features that you're adding, that kind of new feature sets that you're adding to the platform. So could you tell us about any recent changes in B2B Edition that make it easier for anybody to do customizations on it? I think that's one of the things with B2B is that you kind of have to customize on top of it. Every solution kind of requires that. So what are your thoughts about that?
Sure. So, I mean, from a, integration and a data standpoint, you can still use all the BigCommerce APIs, right? So if I'm talking about pushing and pulling order data or anything like that, all the APIs we've had for a number of years interact with and kind of talk to B2B Edition. We did, though, about 6 months ago, launched what's called the B2B Edition buyer portal. So that was our first release, kind of since the initial building of B2B Edition. And that kind of moved everything into a much more modern, tech stack. It's all a React application. There's a lot more admin and, developer tools on the back end to be able to, change how quoting works, change how user approvals work, write custom HTML, write custom CSS. And then to your point, if I get really complex and really advanced, I'll have to go beyond that, right? So we've also released a GraphQL endpoint for B2B. So you could build your own components kind of outside of that new buyer portal I was just speaking about. And then for select merchants, you'll have to come, reach out to your BigCommerce rep and come talk to us. But we are exploring the idea of actually open sourcing that React buyer portal, similar to what we've done with our checkout. So developers could take that, basically fork our copy of B2B Edition, build on top of it, change how it works, and then you would be on the hook to kind of maintain that over time is kind of the catch 22 there. So
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the important parts, I think, with from an agency perspective and from a merchant or client perspective, is that the ability to do some of those customizations to be able to eventually have that because I think and you probably hold this sentiment too, is that like, yes, there's a lot of core features that are out there, but it's great to be able to give that that customization to kind of those select merchants, so they can kind of go the next level with kind of a buyer portal. They don't need something that's kind of you're out of the box. They want to go something a little bit further, and it kind of gives them that availability, right?
yeah, absolutely. Whether it's trade dress or features or they have a really specific buyer flow and that they want to implement. Again, we do kind of make sure they're able to they and their team are able to maintain that, and they're not going to get in trouble when we push updates for the next 6 months and they're not integrating those. But yeah, that's definitely something we see and want to continue to support.
Yeah, awesome. So, what sets B2B Edition apart in terms of user experience, conversion rates? What are you guys seeing with B2B Edition and how that's performing within the B2B space?
Yeah, great question. I mean, personally, I don't think there's a lot of SaaS offerings that really can do, the kind of the level of what B2B Edition is able to do. And I've seen, I mean, a big part of, my job is educating agencies that that's now possible. Hey, you don't have to go build a big custom solution or go buy, $250,000 of SAP or something like that to implement these B2B functionalities. I think that's true on the merchant side too. I think B2B, just in general, those brands are kind of, can be a little held back from a digital perspective. Again, just because of what was possible 5 years ago and what was possible 10 years ago. So yeah, I mean, a lot of my perspective is just, it's been about educating the market that, hey, this stuff's possible now. You don't have to go, build a bunch of custom stuff or throw away all your legacy tools or ERPs or things like that.
Yeah, and I think and this is obviously something that about 15 years ago, B2C was really like, yep, we're moving to SaaS. Like SaaS is a great solution.
Yeah.
I don't have to maintain a server somewhere. I don't have to do that. And it's really kind of enabled teams I think it's enabled marketers. I think it's enabled a lot of people within a company to kind of help manage and support an e-commerce space when you do kind of, for lack of a better term, kind of cut the baggage with on-prem or custom builds, just because it is a lot to maintain. And that is a cost of business. And so I think that's something, and especially within the B2B space, some industries, the margins can be so small, that like the cost of ownership, the total cost of ownership. So not just what you're paying for licensing, but what you're paying for your technical debt and things like that. That needs to be, it's such a big conversation. And I think that SaaS solutions can provide a lot of that, but at the same time, still be customizable, kind of like what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree.
And so I know B2B Edition's there's kind of been this journey that it's gone on. How have you what is the collaborative process like with agency partners like americaneagle.com in developing it? Because I think obviously you guys have developed this incredible product, and we implement it, agencies implement it for you. So yeah, what's kind of that collaboration process look like?
Yeah, great question. So, if you've worked with us at all, if you've, seen us release any amount of product, we will never hold all the cards close to our chest and wait till everything's 100% built and it solves, 100% of use cases we want it to solve for before we release it. So, I mean, we're across the platform with B2B Edition, with new APIs we're developing with our new, headless solution, Catalyst, that'll be coming out soon. We're lockstep with our agencies, every part of the way. So I know you guys have been. We were just talking. I think you've been a part of what 7 or 8 different betas with our product team this year.
Yep.
I know I'm always bugging you guys to come and give us feedback and join in on more of those. So I mean that's just really critical to how we build product, and that was part of that journey with B2B Edition too, is just making sure our assumptions, our research was right. Hearing your honest feedback about
Yeah.
what we built wrong or what we need to still go build. That stuff's invaluable to us.
No, and I like from an agency perspective, I think that partnership, that communication back and forth is really valuable. It's valuable to us as an agency because kind of we are the boots on the ground, if you will, the rubber where the rubber meets the road.
Mm.
And so that I think we can lend a lot of help there. And then also I think it also helps us understand the roadmap of the platform and things like that. And it helps us feel like we're involved. And it helps our merchants also, like our clients,
Right.
merchants for you guys. It helps them feel like they have a voice, and it kind of, which is kind of the ultimate of kind of the concept that we have in American Eagle is like customer first. It's always, so it kind of translating through agencies. You guys effectively kind of do that with your product that you're building every day.
Yeah, and that's we have one of the same values. Customer first is a big commerce value too, so we're aligned there. Yeah.
No, I think that's absolutely fantastic, and I think the partnership that we have with BigCommerce from an agency perspective is invaluable, and I think it adds value to merchants, it adds value to everybody. So with B2B Edition, how do you think that it, I mean, we've talked about already, we've talked about, okay, can B2B Edition's a lot of things. There's a lot of features in it. How do you think that B2B Edition kind of empowers mid-market and enterprise brands basically to launch composable e-commerce experiences? So something that's a little bit more headless. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, we haven't seen a ton of adoption. Well, I'll say we haven't seen as much adoption on the composable side for B2B as we have with B2C. Again, I chalk that up to just kind of the maturity levels in general with B2B versus B2C. That being said, I think there's a huge opportunity there, and that's something we support today. We just aren't always seeing that people take advantage of that. So, I mean, we have larger brands that can afford to get exactly what they want. I mean, they're going to want to build the fastest, most beautiful sites. And we do see them, build with B2B Edition headless today, where I think we'll start seeing more, downstream that open up are things like portals, right? I have some application where, some custom application people are already logging into and
Mhm.
interacting with, and I want to enable that with commerce.
Mhm.
I think we'll see a little bit different route from on the B2C side where it's more, I want a PWA with prefetching and just kind of more of like a modern storefront experience. I think we'll see more kind of back end integrations on the B2B side.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that you kind of hit the nail right on the head there, is that in B2B there are, every workflow is different. Every merchant has a different workflow. And so like integrating these workflows, sometimes headless is the solution.
Right. Yeah.
And that's sometimes the only solution. And I think for those that are listening, just definitely listen to more about what's coming out of BigCommerce with Catalyst, as kind of Patrick mentioned earlier, because I think that you're exactly right, that it's going to be the flexibility of integrations when you already have an incredibly complex tech stack, and kind of getting off of it, and making sure that you're still maintaining that same experience for your customers. So what future developments or enhancements can we expect from B2B Edition in the coming months? As I kind of mentioned earlier, you guys are constantly upgrading it, you're constantly improving it. So what can we expect to see?
Yeah. So we just made a recent release where we now allow for store credit rates at the company level. So if I have, say, like net 30 and net 60 terms set up, I can now say you have, your all the users within your company have a set credit limit that you can't go over for the month. That had to be custom implemented before. We talked about open sourcing the buyer portal. That's coming down the pipe, and again, we've already had some people take advantage of that. Um, And then the other improvements are all around our new multi-storefront internationalization features that are coming out. Those are in beta and have been for some time. But basically the idea to, what if I want a B2B and a B2C store and they're completely separate? I could do that today. What if I want two B2B stores and two B2C stores, one's in French, one's in English, right? That's kind of what we're working towards now.
Mhm.
And then not directly related to B2B Edition, but multi-location inventory is something we've been working on for a long time. We call those the BOPIS, or depending on where you are in the world, click and collect APIs today. But those will eventually become, I have 10 warehouses. I'm trying to ship a cart to this address. Where should I fulfill from, right? How, all the logic and rules that I want to put in place there. Again, today you can use third parties to do that, but we want to start baking those experiences in more natively.
Yeah, and I think with BOPIS, what kind of I coming from the distribution space previously, will call like will call orders. I think that's huge in the B2B space, and being able to give someone the ability, a business, the ability to be on a job site and look up the product they need and order it will call and then go pick it up. I think that's a great story. I think that's an incredible kind of shift in instead of calling someone up and they're two copy writing down the invoice and
Yep.
everything. It's really modernizing B2B, and we see that as the lines kind of start to gray between B2C and B2B. You see B2B kind of more modernizing a little bit within the tech stack, within the experience, but
Sure.
also within what customers are expecting.
Yeah, we're all Amazon
Yeah,
shoppers
yeah.
now. So
For
yeah,
better or worse.
all the people that never used Amazon, they retired. And
Yeah,
so
yep.
now it's people, younger, and they expect more modern buying experiences, even if I'm in your EDI tool or whatever, right? So
Yeah, and that, I think that's where BigCommerce B2B Edition, I think, really lends it, because you're already giving someone kind of a best of breed technology stack within the B2B space. You're kind of cutting ties with those old clunky on-prem applications, and you're giving them a modern look and feel, what everybody expects. I mean, there's B2B sites right now that aren't even mobile responsive.
right.
So
They
it's
spend
like,
all your time on maintenance. And
yeah,
so you have no, you have to build everything custom. You have to spend all your time keeping it up and maintaining it. And you have no more time or budget to go build new stuff, right? And move into something like B2B Edition solves that. We're always, like you say, making new releases, updating new features, and you don't have to do anything to take advantage of that, right? You just flip a switch and turn it on.
yeah. And I think in the space of B2B storefronts, I think, at least from, and I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on this. I think we're seeing a lot of people move off of the old ERP storefronts, the kind of the Infor storefronts of the
Yeah.
world, those kind of things. And I think they're starting to adopt more modern technology. Have you guys started to see that as well, where you're seeing people kind of really take a like a leap kind of in
Yeah.
fully into the 21st century, from like an ERP provided commerce tool that maybe is a little half baked, and into something that's more kind of fully inclusive, like B2B Edition is.
Yeah, I've seen people take different approaches, so, depending on how many legacy tools I have and, what my business looks like I might not be able to take that giant leap without too much risk to make that palatable for me. So, I mean, we do see people, maybe I have, like through partners like TradeCentric, right? If I have an EDI tool, I can enable a modern buying experience on a BigCommerce storefront and then have a button for the shoppers that says, okay, transfer over to the EDI tool, right? And so I still get all the nice the modern shopping features we were talking about that everybody wants, but I can kind of crawl, walk, run as I either move away or, kind of repurpose those tools. I personally haven't seen, yeah, I've definitely seen some people go that way and some people not. I haven't seen uh, like the dust settle on will EDI go away and SaaS replace all of it in the
No,
world.
EDI
Like
will never go
I
away.
don't think, I don't think we're there yet.
No,
So yeah,
no, it will be around forever.
right, yeah,
But no, I do like. I think one thing with like SaaS, just in general, is the investment's not the upfront investment. It's
yeah,
it's more over time. So it is a little bit more palatable. You're not dumping. $500,000 into something right off the bat, and you got to hope that you can maintain it for the next
Right.
30 years. It's something that's a little bit more maintainable. And I think with, I think that's a perfect example of why B2B is starting to really look hard at solutions like BigCommerce B2B Edition, because it's just not something that's sustainable as a business anymore. You just don't, you can't have a server sitting in like a corner of a closet somewhere anymore and
Right. Yeah.
running your storefront. So I think, yeah, no, that's
Thankfully, those days are rare and rare. Yeah.
they're still here. They're still here, but no, I appreciate it. So thank you so much for joining the podcast today. I know we really appreciate your partnership, BigCommerce's partnership, and obviously anybody that's listening to this podcast, Patrick's your guy. He knows what everything you need to know about B2B. So
yeah, no, thank you so much for having me. We super value the partnership too, and would love to come back on after we make our Catalyst announcement tomorrow, and maybe come chat with all the listeners about that.
Absolutely. So thank you for tuning in to the future by listening to the Lessons of Tomorrow podcast. For more information about the topics discussed today, check out the description of this episode. If you want to cover a topic or submit feedback, email us at lessonsfortomorrow@americaneagle.com and let us know. Be sure to follow this podcast wherever you listen to them. While you're at it, give us a rating and share this podcast with others and prepare them for the future. And don't forget to follow us on social media. This episode is brought to you by americaneagle.com Studios.